What's up, folks, and welcome to the Modern Truths Throwback Thursday. I'm MJ, here with Alex Storm, and we're going to do what we always do on Thursdays. We're going to talk about an old school movie. So, Alex, what movie are we talking about today?
So this week we watched one of my favorite comedies, Friday. It came out in 1995. It starred Ice Cube and Chris Tucker and a whole bunch more all-star cast. And it was written by Ice Cube and DJ Pooh. Who nobody ever talks about. Nobody remembers him. And directed by F. Gary Gary. What'd you think?
Well, F. Gary Gary, who recently directed Straight Outta Compton. It all comes full circle somewhere in all of this. Friday is also one of my favorite comedies of all time. This is a hood classic. Now, for those of you who don't know what a hood classic is, let me break it down, because this is the first time we talk about a hood classic on Throwback Thursday. So a hood classic is a movie that, if you're from the hood, is a classic. I know that sounds really straightforward, but the reality is the movie may not be as funny or as much of a classic to some other people, but it's very popular in the urban market, if you will. I love it.
It's really popular with anybody who smokes weed. I'm pretty sure that's why the majority of people watch this when they're in high school, is because it came out around the time in the mid-'90s when they were making a whole bunch of movies about teenagers smoking weed and that being a cool thing to do.
Yeah, I guess
this is one of those movies that totally did that.
I'm going to tell you right now, never thought about it. This would be filed in the subgenre of stoner comedy. Never really thought of this movie as that, but I guess that is that. See, because the character Smokey is always smoking weed, and the whole movie is really about just them smoking all the time.
It's the drama that ensues from him smoking weed.
Yeah. Now, it's kind of funny because, I mean, obviously, a lot of comedies throughout the ages, most every movie has some sort of plot line of some sort. One unique thing about this movie is that there is a plot that sort of develops more than halfway through it, but for the most part, there is no plot. It is just really about these dudes sitting out on the porch and just looking at people in their neighborhood. Like, the strength of the film is just on these random occurrences with the neighbors of these guys, basically.
Yeah, and it's okay because it's Friday. And they don't have anything to do.
Yeah, so they're going to get high today. There you go. So yeah, man, let's talk about this all-star cast. You know, I mean, just think about it. This movie came out in 1995. That's 20 years ago, man.
Oh my God.
And Nia Long is in it. Bernie Mac is in it. God rest his soul. A child Megan Good is in it. Now she's doing the Minority Report TV show. You know, she's been doing it for a long time. Tiny Lister playing Debo. You know, I mean, Faison Love as Big Worm. I mean, all these people.
Dad.
Yeah, John Witherspoon. Bang Bang. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's so many people. Regina King. It's just, the list goes on and on. Like, this movie was so influential, again, particularly to urban audiences who, you know who these people are, have followed them throughout their careers, and a lot of the people in this movie are still working today, which is, you know, I mean, you can't really say it about like almost any movie you can just randomly pick that has that many people in it that are still doing something of note, you know, right now, 20 years later. Pretty wild. But yeah, I mean, look. The problem with talking about Friday is there's not a lot to talk about, right? It's just you're sitting there dissecting jokes. It's like, it's really funny, man. You can talk about your favorite jokes, but at this point, we've all seen the movie so many times. It's like, you just got knocked the fuck out. Like, that's, you know, one of the things that really stood out at the time of the movie's release. One of the interesting things is we all know that this has spawned a few sequels that were not nearly as popular as that because they didn't have Smokey in it. Everybody wanted Smokey in it and couldn't understand why Smokey was out of the movie. And let's be real about it. I mean, Smokey is what makes the movie. Like, Ice Cube is not, you know, no offense to Ice Cube, but he's not like the thing that's holding this whole thing together. He is. I'm not saying he's bad, but if you had to pick a weakest link, it might be Ice Cube as far as all the other characters in the movie, right? So it was interesting what happened with this franchise, with the direction that it went in, and also, I guess, what happened with Chris Tucker's career in some ways. but he's still around, too.
Yeah. Well, something that I thought was interesting, having so recently watched Boys in the Hood, is that there's a lot of parallels between Boys in the Hood and Friday that I think I realized in watching Boys in the Hood again, and now watching Friday, I'm like, for sure. Mm-hmm. Like, the whole scene of the dynamics of Ice Cube and his dad and, like, the gun scene are all scenes that were very similar to Boys in the Hood. Like, this, like, sort of conscience figure and this, like, decision of, like, you're going to make it worse, like, by having a gun.
Yeah.
Similar.
I mean, in a lot of ways, Friday is kind of the comedy version of Boys in the Hood. I mean, it's, you got the crackhead walking around. I don't know. It's definitely like, but it's funny to even think about that because there's still this sort of funny aspect of, like this movie takes place in almost the same neighborhood as Boys in the Hood, and just think of like the look of the film and the tone of it it's much more light, and everything is just
Colorful,
bubbly and colorful, and everything. Even the violence in the film doesn't feel very violent, right? It's not being taken serious. Like when the drive-by happens, Smokey's shooting at him and screaming like I don't know what, and it's just all playful as it should be because it's a comedy. But it's just fascinating to think about the idea, to look at how film making can sort of change, the way you look at something. It can be the exact same place, essentially, but have a different vibe just because of the tone of the film,
Yeah, definitely.
Essentially, this did a lot to make this environment not look all scary and dangerous like some of those gangster movies
funny.
did.
It made all the suburban white kids want to go hang out with Smokey and Ice Cube.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, I would imagine when watch this, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, those dangerous people.
Yeah.
Like, they're relatable, I would think, to a wide range of people. It might not be your cup of tea, you might not find the humor funny, but I think all the characters are certainly, recognizable for what they are.
But there's also this uniting factor of the ending of where, like, Ice Cube finally gets to beat the bully. And I think teens of all ages can relate to that feeling of, like, getting to be the one who beats the town bully.
Yeah. And
I mean, hero.
I guess we'll just jump right to it, too. Let's talk about diversity, because one thing we need to talk about is the portrayal and the treatment of women in this movie.
Yeah.
And also talk about diversity in a broader sense. We'll just start with the diversity first. So there's the Asian store owner who is pops up from behind the counter with a gong, with an oriental gong sound, and says black owned. So that wasn't really a good look for them.
No.
And that's the only Asian character I can think of. But then they had the Latino characters, the guys who Smokey was smoking with, who were just kind of messing with them throughout the course of the movie. And they were just treated like just regular guys in the neighborhood, which, again, I mean, those are really...
They did portray him as being, like, sketchy and not trustworthy. Like, they drugged him, gave him some bad weed. And...
Well, I don't know. I didn't really feel that way. When you say sketchy and not trustworthy, like, they were laughing and they were playful. They weren't, like, presented as, like, dangerous or, like, serious or something. They were just like, hey, what's up, man? They were just fucking with them, So I didn't feel like it was a negative portrayal of them. And they treated them just like a regular part of the neighborhood, like everybody else when they're sitting there. Like, oh, it's Hector. Oh, it's, it's just like... It wasn't like, oh man, these guys are coming through. We need to, like Debo was like the worst thing in the movie, and he was just another guy in the neighborhood,
True.
But outside of that, I would say, obviously, still we talk about diversity and everything else. We got to talk about it in all black movie too, right? And I would say, honestly, it is still more diverse than movies that aren't, filled with black faces, because. There still are Asians in it. There still are Latinos in it. But we watch so many movies where there's not a single other at all.
They also had the foresight to think about the neighborhood they were representing and know that there would be some of those people there, and there probably wouldn't be any white people there.
Yeah, I would say. And so there is not a white person in the movie, right?
Not that I can think of. I
don't think there's a white person in this movie.
Tell us in the comments if there's a white person that we missed in Friday.
Yeah, I don't think there is.
But the women, the portrayal of women in this movie is terrible. They're all portrayed as crazy, as dependent, as weak, as unable to take care of themselves, totally reliant on men, or like making men crazy with their craziness.
I wouldn't say all of them. I would say the mother character, not crazy.
Okay.
And also his
but
sister,
still
not crazy.
Still like, oh, okay, sweetheart. But I guess she ate her own breakfast, so okay.
Yeah, he was like, you cook me breakfast? He's like, no, I'm good. His sister, same deal again. You don't really see a lot of her, but she's definitely like, cussing him out and telling him to get his shit together.
Yeah, she's like, you can't talk to me like that.
Yeah.
And also the way that they talk to the women and talk about women, I think is maybe even worse than how the women were portrayed. It was like, I don't know. I don't remember this like being a thing that bothered me when I was young, but like watching it now, I'm like, whoa. Like, would this be said? Would there be like a character who is a hero in a movie that says this kind of shit over and over again about like every girl?
Yeah, tough call. But it sounds like in keeping with Ice Cube, where he was at that point in his life. And also in keeping with the neighborhood that they were portraying too. I mean, like, it doesn't feel inaccurate, and that's, I would say it's always a tough line when you talk about any given movie. You talk about trying to be authentic, right? And it's like, I think that's, again, you talk about a hood classic, it's like the people in the hood got to feel like they're representing the hood accurately and not feeling like, oh man, this is whitewash, or this is just some bullshit dialogue that's not something that people would say. I always like it when I feel like, yes, like the character of Smokey, I'm like, he reminds me of some funny guy from my neighborhood that I've been around before. And that's kind of what they're going for there. So, I mean, I didn't feel like there were definitely a lot of negative portrayals of women in the film, but I still say, the thing is, I think everyone got theirs. Even the Nia Long character, what was wrong with her? She was going to school or something. She was handling her business, jogging, exercising, and just pretty...
She still had to rely on Ice Cube to handle shit in the end, though.
It was because she got hit in the face by a guy. What's she supposed to do? I mean, pull a gun out?
I mean, that was my favorite part, was like that she did stand up for herself and was
But
like,
no,
no, I can't take this.
we're not talking about the end. I'm saying, I just want to just scale it back on that. All of them are terrible. I would actually say it's almost 50-50, which I think, I don't know what more you can ask for. I think it's balanced. You got her sister, who's a crackhead. You got her, who is just normal, perfectly respectable. You have the mom. On the flip side, you have his girlfriend, who is crazy. I don't know where the Janet Jackson character comes into play, or even Regina King's his sister, her friend, who is in like 2 scenes, shows up. Smokey's like, "Hey, what's up?" And she's just like, "Whatever," and just runs them off. Like, I feel like it's actually not a terrible portrayal of them, but there are
Forget
some.
about the woman across the street.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm saying. No, I just did like every woman that is a character of note in the film. I think you could say is almost 50-50. For every bad one, there's sort of a good one that sort of balances it out. That's what I would say. And then
I don't think there's that same balance for the men. The men are generally all portrayed as like
Debo, bad.
Yes,
The
but still,
crackhead, bad.
but there's
the next door neighbor.
Still much bigger, more important characters who you're like eager to see what they're gonna do. Whereas like this crackhead lady, you're like, get on, off screen, we're done. We don't want to watch you. But Debo, every time he's in a scene, you know something crazy is gonna happen. You want to watch him.
Okay, well look, maybe this is how you roll. Maybe you just didn't want to watch them. I don't know, but no, I get your point. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's always a fine line. That's what I'm saying. There are a lot of characters in the movie, and that was the thing that I really want to talk about before we wrap it up, which is just that there's such a non-traditional story structure here. It is this weird thing of like being able to take an audience and bring them into the neighborhood in a way that you wouldn't normally have, where it's like, I know that guy, and like some people didn't get a standout moment. Like again, the neighbor who was dressing up in his
cardigans.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't really have a character. He's just kind of there. It's like literally you're supposed to get the joke from just the way he looks. That's what you're like. Everything that he represents is just 3 lines of dialogue, and the way he looks is supposed to tell you everything you need to know about him. Same thing, the Bertie Mac preacher character. He comes knocking on the door. They immediately just like, this guy's full of shit. And it's like, it's almost like it's referencing something that if you are from a similar environment, you know these characters. And that's really the idea, is that you can identify these guys without even knowing anything about them, because it's just like, oh yeah, that's familiar. And that's really why this movie is so popular. It is a hood classic because the hood can identify with so much of it. And it just really taps into something that a lot of folks can identify with. So, yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, I guess that's going to conclude our discussion of Friday. So again, this was our latest episode of Throwback Thursday. I am MJ, and you can follow me on Twitter at the only MJ. She is.
I'm Alex Storm. You can follow me at Alex Storm, TMT, as in the Modern Truth.
And themoderntruth.com is where you can find all of our Throwback Thursday videos, movie discussions, and all the news you need to know. Thanks again for tuning in, folks. Take care.